All right, it's 6 o'clock, so you want to get started?
Sure. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 17th of the South San Francisco Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We are in City Hall Annex. And this meeting is hereby called to order. May we have a roll call?
Chair Yip.
Here.
Vice Chair Hingy. No, absent. Committee Member Guzman. Here. Committee Member Gore. Committee Member McCauley.
Here.
Committee Member Hollenbach.
Here. Okay, there's four of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, agenda review. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We do not have any changes to the agenda. Okay.
And then public comment. Is there any member of the public who wants to speak that is about an item that's not on the agenda at this time?
We've not received any comment cards. We did receive one public comment via email, which we have provided to the committee, and it has already been attached to the agenda minutes for the record.
Got it. All right, consent calendar, approval of the regular meeting minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve? Wait, is this what we're doing, right?
Yes.
Item 1.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And then I'll read it. Okay, so item number 1 is approval of the regular meeting minutes for March 6, 2024.
I am hoping that we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Did everyone say what they thought?
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. Maybe you can help.
Okay. Do roll call. Chair Yip.
Yes.
Committee Member Guzman.
Yes.
Committee Member McCauley.
Yes.
Committee Member Hollenbach.
Yeah, yes.
And Vice Chair Hingy and Committee Member Gore are both absent. So the motion passes.
Great. All right, agenda item number 2.
Agenda item number 2 is under administrative business, and it is Every Kid Deserves a Bike program 2024. And our staff presenting is our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, Devin Stenhouse. So I will turn it over to Devin.
Sure. Thank you.
And then if you would like, Devin, you can take my seat. It's good. And we just click arrow down.
Perfect. Commission, thank you for having me. I'm happy to present just an update as far as the Every Kid Deserves a Bike program for the year 2024. This program just completed its 3rd year. Originally started in 2022 due to the pandemic, in partnership with San Mateo County Office of Education, specifically their Safe Routes to School program. This was an idea sparked from current Vice President Eddie Flores, just in hopes that, or at the time during the pandemic, so many children were at home learning within the confines of their own households and just not being as active as I think community as a whole would have preferred, especially those children that could not afford their own bicycles to be able to go out and do such. And so that's just kind of how this whole thing started. It is an equity issue. After doing some research, benefits of owning a bike includes building one's self-esteem, obviously encouraging more healthy, active lifestyle, reducing the amount of motorized vehicles on roadways, which in turn would, in short, reduce air pollution. In 2022, it was awarded Program of the Year by the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. Just a recap, the idea of the program overall is to provide students most in need with a free bicycle, originally courtesy of several donations from for and nonprofit groups within South San Francisco, as well as the county. And in short, students would be provided free bicycles, helmets, bike pumps, bike locks. New to this year, toolkit for the bike, bike safety lights, workbooks, pencils, and a nice little tote bag. Each distribution event would take place at qualifying Title I schools in San Francisco. In the past, it had gone to, or last year, it had gone to 5 Title I schools in South San Francisco, including Spruce Elementary School, Martin, Los Cerritos, Sunshine Gardens, and the middle school, Parkway Heights. This year, we provided bikes to qualifying students at each of those schools, as well as a 6th event that took place on a Saturday, which included Monteverde Elementary School, Ponderosa Elementary School, and Ponderosa, Burberry Elementary School. For those particular schools, those are not Title I schools, but we did contact principals from those schools and asked if they could specifically recommend known families or children in 4th and 5th grade that are coming from low-income households. And so, and in total, that warranted a 1-day bike distribution event. At each of these bike events, there are helmets that are distributed, but each helmet is custom fitted by representatives from the county, specifically from the Safe Routes to School program. Bicycles are registered with our South San Francisco Police Department. So if a bike is lost or stolen and happen to come up later, because the serial number would provide a name and contact information for who the bike was originally registered to. ABC checks, air brake crank checks were provided by Local Motion, which happened to also do final inspections of each bike prior to the distribution. A bike rodeo was distributed or implemented by Safe Moves, which is a national bicycle education organization based in Van Nuys, California. So they came up here to South City to implement a bike rodeo. If you've never seen a bike rodeo, it's essentially an obstacle course where children on bikes learn to stop at stop signs, signal for left turn, right turn. How does a four-way stop sign intersection work? What to do at a light, how to abide by proper bike, how to ride in bike lanes while looking out for mirrors and opening car doors and such. And then there's a glam station, which if you look in this picture right here on the bottom, they're provided helmets, and they are free to decorate the helmet in whatever way they wish, or whatever way they wish to decorate it. In short, this year's program was 100% funded by Assemblymember Diane Pappin, who earmarked $200,000 for the program. So we did not need to go to nonprofits or for-profit organizations. We didn't have to fundraise or anything like that. The $200,000 completely supported this year's efforts. 240 students received bicycles from the schools listed here, as I also went over. Each bike distribution event cannot take place without the help from local volunteers. So we had a total of 35 volunteers this year, and each event we saw volunteers range from about 6 to 12 for each event. Okay. I had to include the entire testimony. It was really hard for me to kind of summarize this, but this actually came from one of the parents, from one of the students that received a bike. Again, the goal here is to provide bicycles the initial goal was to provide bicycles for students who otherwise would not be able to afford their own bicycle. But I thought this was super interesting. Bear with me, I am going to read this if you haven't already, but it still gives me goosebumps. I'll try to be brief. Good evening. I'm writing to thank those involved in the Every Kid Deserves a Bike program. My son is a 4th grade student, and I wanted to, keep that specific school unknown. I realize this program is to help those who can't afford a new bike, but I wanted to write this letter to thank you and let you know what an enormous difference this program has made. To another group of students, my son is autistic and has had a history of social awkwardness, weakness with some fine and gross motor skills. He was late to making friends in life, finding his way in social situations, and very late to learning to ride a bike despite occupational therapy and physical therapy. When friends or family members opted to ride their bikes, our son usually refused. Recently, something shifted after his wonderful teacher and principal mentioned that this entire grade, which is not necessarily true, getting a new bike from the city. He felt a sense of honor and pride that his class was being gifted these new bikes. His classmates all started talking about bike riding, and he was desperate to be included and keep up. He insisted on practicing or training every day after school on his old bike for the upcoming bike challenge. Not sure what the challenge was, but he's probably thinking the bike rodeo. We saw a newly motivated kid start trying to get better at his old bike so he could ride with his classmates on bike day. Our boy talked and counted days until visitors delivered the new bikes to his school. Now bike rides after school are a routine part of his day. He has met up with his classmate on weekends for bike rides on Centennial Path, Centennial Way. We cannot thank you enough for this wonderful program. It not only provides for those in reduced circumstances, but helps bring students with a variety of abilities and disabilities together, encouraging them to be physically active and socialize in the outdoors. It is a program that helps in a variety of ways. Countless times, my husband and I encouraged bike riding, but it was through this program and seeing all of his peers jump on their new bikes that our son wanted to keep up and be a part of it, to be included. Thank you for this wonderful program and all of your efforts on the part of our school and community. So if you're not a little choked up right now, take a minute. But I just thought that was a wonderful email from a parent that really didn't have to share her thoughts and her personal experience between her and her son. But it means a lot to me, and it's definitely motivation for maintaining this program in the future. I'm going to jump this for half a second, and then I'm going to come back to that. This is a collaborative program. The City of South San Francisco's City Manager's Office does spearhead this, but we definitely work in conjunction with these partners, including the police department, as I mentioned, Safe Routes to School. We're working very closely with the district office, the teachers, the principals, and volunteers with the San Francisco Unified School District. Like I mentioned, Safe Moves comes down from Southern California. That's who's distributing the bike rodeo. Expertise Moving, they volunteer their trucks and their drivers to move all of the bikes. So there's 6 events that took place. For every event, all of the bikes are stored either at the West Orange Library or the Municipal Services Building. And so we need to get 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 bikes to the schools. So this moving company volunteered their truck and their staff to help us move all of these bikes to the schools. And then I mentioned all of our volunteers. That does not include our South San Francisco CERT team, who also volunteered their time for all of these events, as well as helping to get 40, 50, 60, 70 bikes onto the van. I cannot tell you how valuable that is. So I just thought that, and I'm probably leaving people out again, tons of volunteers, but I wanted to make sure that they get their proper due. After the final event took place, and keep in mind, all of these events took place in the month of March for National Bicycle Month. We met up afterwards. This team right here met up afterwards just to talk about, what did we like about the program? How can we improve things the following year? Thus, real quick, what's left over? Keep in mind, this is our 3rd year doing the program. We went into this program with a number of bicycles that were not used last year or the year before. And now, after this year's program, we're left with 206 bicycles. We have 213 helmets on standby. Our Safe Routes to School group with the county. They donated 250 helmets, not to mention we purchased 400 and some odd bicycle helmets as well. Thus, we have 213 remaining. We have 306 locks remaining, pumps. So we have enough inventory to ask for no more funding, and we can likely be able to do this program again in a year. A couple suggestions. Prior to the bicycle distributions, it was recommended that we host at least one, if not a few, learn to ride events. For every single bicycle distribution event, there was probably, if I had to guess, 30 to 50% of students who did not know how to ride a bicycle. Thankfully, we had very active and knowledgeable volunteers on hand for those bicycle distribution events to be able to help some of the students get more comfortable on their bicycles, their brand new bikes. But it was recommended that if possible, we bring people together prior to receiving their new bike and help train how to ride. Train volunteers. Some of our volunteers are pretty comfortable teaching students how to ride bicycles, and others are not. And so perhaps prior to doing the Learn to Ride event, we do teach a volunteer to teach someone how to ride a bike event. Bicycle safety curriculum. Again, Safe Moves hosts a bicycle rodeo where, again, students are learning how to ride safely on the street. In short, though, that entire process for one student will probably be less than 5 minutes. And it begs the question, are they really learning all that they need to know prior to getting this brand new bicycle and telling them to go ahead? It was recommended to get rid of the GLAM station. That's the station where students are learning, or not learning, but they're decorating their helmets. So they're provided their paint markers where they can write their names and, write whatever they want on their bikes or on their helmets. They're provided stickers. Again, we're working with bicycle experts, and so they're much more knowledgeable about this type of thing than I am. And to my surprise, one of the comments actually was based on their experience when students treat their helmets as a piece of art, like any other piece of art, more times than not, they actually get tired of it. Sometimes they get sick of it. Thus, over time, they're more likely to stop using their helmet than to continue to use their helmet. I couldn't help but think of when I was 11 having a skateboard, and I think I wrote down all types of crazy things. I'm not going to get into details on my skateboard. And I literally remember being like, you know what, I'm not proud that I wrote that right now. I'm not going to write my board. And it's the same thing. So that was the recommendation. Review safe routes to school. There's the organization Safe Routes to School, but literally let's review safe routes to school. How, the majority for Parkway Heights, for example, what route do most of the students who would be receiving bikes typically take? And perhaps we map that and we have a visual of here is the safest route one might take, avoiding one-way streets and alleys and lanes and blind intersections and so on and so forth. So that was a recommendation. Confirm how bicycles are transported home. I can't even say most. Many students are informing schools that parents are going to pick up bicycles in their car or vehicle or pickup truck or what have you. But the truth is, the city and our schools don't know how all of those bikes are getting home. And as I just mentioned, there's a decent amount of students that actually do not know how to ride bikes. So we're kind of rolling the dice here. So it was recommended that perhaps maybe in the survey or in the waiver that goes home to the students, perhaps we need to leave a place where parents are going to tell us how exactly they plan on getting their students home. And so we have a little bit more clarity there. And then we want to somehow ensure bicycles are utilized. Again, we're in our 3rd year. We're in communication with the police department and many other organizations. At this point, there are some students who have older siblings who received bicycles a year or 2 ago. There are rumors floating around, bikes may have been sold, bikes may have been taken apart for different parts. Bikes just might be sitting there collecting dust. And so we would like to figure out a way that we can ensure that those that are receiving bicycles are indeed utilizing them correctly, or at least in a way that that was originally intended. So yeah, that said, that is the conclusion of the presentation. I am definitely open to questions, comments, recommendations for the future. I'll open it up to the group.
I volunteered for one of the first two of these. And what I always thought would be interesting was if we could do a survey. Well, I think we're in far enough now that it would probably be meaningful, of past recipients to see how they use and are using their bicycles, and what benefit it provided to them. Also, have we done that?
We have not provided a survey to our past participants. This program was, so 2 years ago when the program was initially launched, there was a lot unknown. And just like any other program, we learn as we kind of go. And so early this year, that recommendation was actually made. We don't have emails, we don't necessarily have contact information for all of our past recipients. This year, there was a survey that was administered to everybody that received a bicycle. And so that's the ideal now. They did complete a survey. In a year, they're going to complete literally the same survey. How often do you ride your bike? How, just these types of questions, just collecting data on how often and what's the motivation for their children riding bikes before they get their bikes. And then in a year, we're going to just ask the exact same thing and look to see if we can see any type of growth. And truth be told, it'll be every year that we're able to run this program. We'll be asking the same families the same questions just to see if we see any kind of patterns.
And then the bicycle and pedestrian master plan that we put together a little while ago, the aspect of determining level of ridership for each of our bicycle paths was included in that. So maybe we could go back and take a look at that plan and see how we can implement that plan based on the suggestions that you make. I think that's a great suggestion.
Sure.
Did you like doing it? I mean, that's your first time. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, this is my first go around. Did I enjoy doing it?
Well, it was
The process. Yeah, so just to put things into perspective, this was our third year, the city's third year hosting this program. The initial 2 years was hosted by one of our management analysts, along with at least one, if not two, fellows. And so it really was like an internal group effort, whereas this year, it was me. And it was a lot of kind of piecemealing things. And so I did not have access to everybody's files. So I would say like the most stressful part was just a lot of like the unknown. If you've ever adopted a program or a project or anything that somebody else has actually done, at least my perspective, or at least my take, is usually let's do what was done so that we can experience, and then we make our modifications. And so for me, it was a lot of, and I'm going back to our team here, it was a lot of me checking in with, again, our PD, the county, the school district, asking, well, how did we do that last year? What did we do last year? And, do you have the site map, on how, where each of these stations for each of these events were, that we more or less duplicated it. And it really was a learning experience. So for me, it was relatively stressful getting everything together and in line. Hosted several Zoom or Teams meetings where everyone's just kind of giving you that, does this guy know what he's doing in the face? I'm not sure if we can really do this anymore. But I have to be honest, it did not take long before I saw the results, and in a positive way. The initial The first event was held on May 2nd at Parkway Heights. And there were about 60-something children or students who just coming down the ramp, just seeing how excited they were when they saw 60-something bikes sitting there shining in the, might be over exaggerating a little bit, but I mean, like, the sun was out, we're getting reflections of this brand new chrome, and they were just so excited. And one of the students who this guy could not balance on a bike whatsoever. And I felt my heart was breaking for him, but one of our volunteers who was very experienced somehow with teaching students how to ride, in an hour, this same student was riding on ramps on the blacktop. And same thing, my heart stopped for a minute, but the kid, he knew what he was doing. But he could not have been more excited. By the time the event was over, he was with his friends riding bikes. And so it was all inclusive. So that was the first event. After that, I was excited. And I was just like, I see what's going on here. And I definitely see the benefits. So definitely everything was worth it. It was, with anything, there's some high points, there's some low points, there's a little bit of stress. But definitely after that first event, after seeing it, you get the benefits, but you also kind of understand how to tweak the next 5 events after that too. So by the last event, I think everything was pretty clockwork. And it's like I said, I anticipate doing this again in a year. Our vice mayor who spearheaded this a couple of years ago will be mayor in a year. I don't see this going anywhere, but having done it once already, I can enthusiastically jump in for next year and have a much better picture of like how this is supposed to go.
Thank you for doing it.
Yes.
Any other comments from committee members?
So I'm delighted to see that we didn't read about any of the bicycle accidents on the. That's all.
Me too.
Then the police report for bicycle and pedestrian accidents these past 2 quarters. There's been no children on bicycles hit. Thank goodness.
Agreed. What you don't see on here is an actual picture of a bicycle, I don't believe. And so, well, there you go. So if you've ever seen these lime green bikes since the month of May, I can honestly tell you, just driving around the city, I have, of course, I'm associated with the program, so it's going to stand out to me a little bit more. But it's like I said, 240 of these bikes went out, and so they're out there. So if you happen to see one of these bikes, just know that this is where it came from.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Devin.
Yeah.
Thanks you both for doing the program and presenting.
Yeah, thank you. Everybody, I believe everyone should have my information, but if any other questions or inquiries happen to come up, don't hesitate to reach out to your liaisons here, or just go to the city's website under city manager's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you.
Thank you. We didn't ask for public comment from members of the public for this. Is there any public comment?
We've not received any public.
Okay. Didn't think so.
I
Right.
do have a question. We haven't introduced this
Oh,
lady at the end, or I haven't been introduced.
yeah, let's introduce our new chief planner and secretary.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I was, thank you, Devin. So, hi, everybody. I'm Adina Friedman. I'm the chief planner. I think I've met definitely some of you from the before pandemic times in person here, and I think I've seen the rest of you on Zoom, most likely. Yeah. Chris, as you I think know, is no longer with the city. He left and took a promotional opportunity with Samtrans. So he left in April, sorry. What is it now? July. So, and then I'd also like to introduce, we have a new principal planner who's with us here tonight, and that is Megan Woolley-Osdahl. And Megan's been with us since December, yes, I think. And then we also have more staffing news, which is that Kelsey has given notice and will be leaving the city, which is devastating's a big word, but it's how we feel. Yeah, but obviously
Thank you for your great work.
Yeah,
Most welcome.
so
Thank you.
wonderful, she's moving to wonderful things, but we are very, very sad. We've got a lot of new people, and people leave, and everyone moving.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Item number 3.
Okay, item number 3 is bike lanes for the boulevards, and our staff presenter is Lawrence Enriquez, senior engineer.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, let's see. My name is Lawrence Enriquez. I'm a senior engineer with the Public Works Engineering Division here, and I'm managing this project, which is just started last year. And it's in the early stages, so it's a feasibility study. And so I'm sure you're wondering what the bike lanes for the boulevards it's all about. Where's it at and what is it? So that's what I'm here for. So let's get started here. Okay, the agenda, I'll be giving a quick project overview, and I'll review potential solutions to the issues that are encountered on these roadway corridors. There's also a coordination with other city projects that I'll be talking about, and then the next steps. So this is the limits of work of what we're doing. It's Junipero Serra between Avalon Drive all the way up to Hickey. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. It'll go down.
Up to Hickey. Yeah, so there it is, between Avalon and Hickey, and that includes the Hickey intersection as well. And then we're going along Westboro from Skyline all the way to Antoinette Lane. And the reason we want to connect to Antoinette Lane is because it's nearby the Centennial Trail. So we want to make a connection there. And so the challenging part is going to be right there at the Junipero Serra Westboro Boulevard intersection, where there's a lot of obstructions. I never see any pedestrians walking through there or bicyclists. I've seen maybe one in the past year. With the I-280 on ramps and off ramps, it's a real challenge. So we're going to be addressing that. A little bit of the project background. The plan for bicyclists and pedestrians, it comes from our Active South City report that the planning department put together. And it's been identified as high level of traffic stress for bicyclists on both roadways, Junipero Serra and Westboro Boulevard. And there's missing sidewalks on both roadways. And then on Westboro Boulevard, it's been identified as it has a high percentage of crashes and injuries. So this is the project process. We're currently at the feasibility study, and we're going to be moving in. The feasibility study started last summer, and we're going to be concluding that this coming fall. And then we're going to move into the next 2 phases, which is right here, the PID and PAED. This is the environmental phase. This is basically where we develop the cost, scope, and schedule for Caltrans. So that's kind of brief. This is going to be the major one. But we got funding for that. The TA, I submitted a grant application for TA funding, and we got funding for both phases. So we're covered for the next 2 phases. So as soon as this feasibility study concludes, I'm going to release an RFP to, segue into the next phase, next 2 phases. So, and then we're going to go into design and construction. That's a few years away from now. So the current existing conditions on Junipero Serra Boulevard, you just have this, for example, the image on the top is northbound Junipero Serra at Arroyo Drive, and it's just there's a buffer lane and then there's a bike lane. But nobody wants to be bicycling adjacent to a 50-mile-per-hour roadway, which is essentially a highway, right? And on westbound Westboro Boulevard, west of Camaritas, we have the painted green lanes on the shoulders at the end, and it's the same situation. It's a high-speed area, and it's kind of scary. I think it doesn't really attract a whole lot of bicyclists and pedestrians. So Some of the project goals that we intend to achieve is to improve safety, accessibility, and mobility. We also want to install low-stress bikeway facilities and sidewalks. So we want to encourage bicycling and walking, especially through that intersection. Because right now, between north and west and east side of Junipero Serra, you can't cross because of that Junipero Serra Westboro obstruction. And maybe, people want to go to the Westboro Square Plaza to do shopping. They want to walk, but they cannot. There's a barrier there. So we've done some outreach in the past 9-10 months. We were up at the National Night Out. That was back in August of last year. Then we followed up with the library grand opening, which was a pretty huge success. We got a lot of people there, just hundreds of people. And then I proceeded to attend a Saturday farmers market. Then I attended this past June, last month, St. Augustine Church on a Sunday. So we were encouraged by Councilmember Nicholas. So I had to achieve, meet that goal for her. So. So we managed to go there, and then
Were you asking for God's help?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Were you asking?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. And then we followed up with the community workshop at the Civic Campus also last month. So, and this is a social pinpoint. It's a map that we basically were sharing with the public. The QR code leads you to a map of the project area, and you can actually pin somewhere that you think is a problem area and then provide commentary on that so that we can get some feedback. So we got a lot of feedback, and we're going to generate at the end of this feasibility study, we're going to generate a final report, and it's going to capture all the feedback that we got from all the community pop-up events and also this social pinpoint, all the information embedded in there. So, and I'll share it with you. I'll release it. You can read it. A little bit about the different types of bike lanes. There's Class 1, which is a multi-use shared pathway for pedestrians and bicyclists. And then there's a Class 4 bike lane, and it's completely separated, and it's exclusively for bicyclists only. So we're considering using both of those along the Junipero Serra and Westboro Boulevard corridors. This is the city of Goleta or Goleta. I don't know which is the proper pronunciation, but these two images are from that city. And this one is showing two images of a Class 1 pedestrian and bicycle facility, a multi-use shared facility. And so that's just to give you an idea what we plan for Junipero Serra and Westboro Boulevard. And the other one is a two-way Class 4 bikeway, and that's exclusively for bicyclists only. You can see there's a protected barrier on the image right there on the left. It's a concrete curb. And then the upper right-hand side is North Access Road near the Park SFO. The Park SFO parking structure. And that's a two-way Class 4 bikeway that's existing right now. So continuing with the different types of bike lanes, there's these K71 pylons that we've been installing throughout. I think they're along Gateway Boulevard right now in that area. But that's another way to protect bicyclists. And in this case, it's a unidirectional bike path.
But Lawrence, before you go beyond that one, see this picture here.
Yes.
My problem with that is see that the curb, it's not very dirty, but it's certainly not clean. Sweepers, if it's too narrow, the sweepers can't get in to clean the curb, and then they end up, the bicycle lane gets full of crap.
Yeah. I think the intention is, I think the courtyard has maybe small size sweepers. Yeah, mini sweepers, what I've heard, but they can kind of,
Used for Grand Avenue,
fit in there.
Not out there. It's not going to go, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Frank.
No moving.
I'll bring that up for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so if it's wide enough, it's fine, but if it's too narrow. I see them up in the city on Bosworth, if you ever go up that way there.
Bosworth.
Bosworth, up in the city.
Yeah.
If you can lift us.
Yeah, like Glen Park, yeah.
Yeah, awful. But anyway, just a thought.
Oh, yeah, good. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. And then there's median bike lanes, and so that's protection on both sides. You can see down the middle. It's a shared use pathway for pedestrians and bicyclists. And I think that gives a greater sense of safety for the users. And so we're considering that as well, using Westboro Boulevard, the median, and maybe converting into that, so.
I'll let you finish.
Okay. Here's a video. And so, as I mentioned before, the Junipero Serra Boulevard and Westboro Boulevard intersection, it's a real challenge. And so this is one of the ideas that is being considered. Okay, it's called a diverging diamond interchange. And as you look at the video, you'll notice off to the side a couple of loops. You'll see these two loops, and those loops are essentially for pedestrians and bicyclists. They're completely away from the interchange where there's going to be weaving of vehicles, and so they're completely separated. So just you can look for that. I don't know how the volume is. Volume high enough?
So
I hit microphones.
if you go to the little.
Oh, it's there. It is.
There we go. I'm just trying to.
This. All right, let's see.
And CalPERS is proud to announce the completion of an innovative city planning project. The Diverging Diamond Interchange. The City of Manteca, California, and Caltrans is proud to announce the completion of an innovative city planning project. The Diverging Diamond Interchange, or DDI for short. Together, in partnership with Caltrans and lead consultant designer Mark Thomas, we're working to better the growing Manteca community with the California First of Its Kind project, proven to decrease traffic collisions, increase on-the-road safety, and enhance travel flow. Opening soon at Union Road and State Route 120, you'll find the DDI, helping to alleviate traffic accidents by redesigning interstate entrances and exits. When traveling along Union Road and crossing State Route 120, vehicles will briefly cross to the opposite side of the road via signalized intersections. Vehicles continuing on Union Road will then cross back over to the other side of the road via a second signalized intersection. Movements at these two intersections will be controlled with new traffic signals. Vehicles turning left off of State Route 120 to Union Road will travel via free left turns off of the freeway ramp. Vehicles turning left from Union Road onto State Route 120 will travel via free left turns onto the freeway ramp. Vehicles turning right from Union Road onto State Route 120 will travel via free right turns onto the freeway ramp. And vehicles turning right off of State Route 120 to Union Road will travel via free right turns off of the freeway ramp. In addition to improving safety and reducing congestion for vehicular traffic, the new interchange also includes an innovative separated path for bikes and pedestrians. The path runs along Union Road and completely eliminates any conflict points with vehicles through the interchange, further improving safety and accessibility for non-motorized users. Findings from the Federal Highway Administration report that DDIs completely eliminate broadside left turn collisions because of their double diamond design. Evaluations suggest total collisions, including right angle and rear end crashes, could be reduced by half while using DDIs. It's an investment in safety, infrastructure, and all of Manteca.
Five words you pronounced wrong 2 years before.
We're on the PDF. So Adobe, the red one on the bottom.
Oh, where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go. Thanks.
Cool.
Okay, other improvements in the area that's taking place right now, as a matter of fact, is we're currently working on a design for a new traffic signal light at Arroyo and Junipero Serra Boulevard. And that's about 90% complete design-wise. The intention is to go into construction in the spring 2025, the next year. So that's ongoing. Also at Clay, at Clay Avenue in Junipero Serra, there's that pedestrian bridge. And so a part of this project that I'm working on is to basically remove that pedestrian bridge and then install a new traffic signal light at that intersection. And of course, we're gonna, do a cut through the median right there to open it up for traffic. So
now, in the past, I was mentioning this to the designer there, Dave Mahama, that there used to be a traffic signal there when I came to this country. And I guess they took it out and they put in that pedestrian overpass. Is there a problem with the pedestrian overpass?
Yeah, it's not really ADA compliant. It's kind of steep and it's kind of a challenge for people, with ADA, mobility issues. So we want to kind of, I guess, put the signal light back. I didn't know that. So.
Yeah, well, I wasn't here when they took it out. It was already gone, but I assume they took it out for safety reasons and put the pedestrian overpass in. But it seems like we're going back in time, putting in a new traffic signal and taking out the bridge.
Just curious, what year?
Well, I came here in 74 and I started working with the city in 76. So it was already gone by 76. So I worked on traffic signals.
Like cars fly down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, down here. Yes. And then when they make a right turn onto Clay, I understand some of the homes get struck. And so we're going to be addressing that as well. So, yeah.
A lot of people use the pedestrian crossing to the Altaloma side from Clay back and forth. Can't imagine like walking across the street with a lot more cars. A lot of cars come down JS up and down.
Yeah.
That's another issue you may have to face too.
But which is the volumes or the
amount of cars that go up and down JS and the amount of people that use the pedestrian crossing.
A lot of people use it. But
can you just redesign the pedestrian crossing?
Well, at this
point, you got a 50-mile-per-hour zone into a traffic signal light.
Okay. Well, I could jot that down.
Yeah.
Is it possible?
I've got cars coming down that hill going 70, 80, 90 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Easily.
Is it possible to keep the pedestrian crossing and do a signalization?
Oh, keep the bridge?
Yeah. Or could you not do that for sight lines?
It's not compliant. So.
Right, but then if they had I'm thinking they'd have an intersection, which would be compliant.
I mean, we can consider it. I mean, we're in the feasibility study. Nothing's concrete, so it's best to capture these comments now, and I can pass them on. So.
Yeah. Do any studies of how many people go over or anything like that? I mean, it seems like there's a lot, but do you have any solid numbers?
I don't think there's any school on that's Winston Manor West, we used to call it. And that school, the University School, is closed down, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
it's a private school now.
It's a nursing school.
Yeah. So the kids, people going to school would have to cross that bridge, I guess, and they come down to Bury. You know how it is.
Okay. Good.
Giving you homework.
I'm sorry?
We're giving you homework.
Oh, yeah, good. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Okay. That's no problem. Yeah. Good. And then on Junipero Serra Boulevard, we are going to be deploying these K71 bollards this fall. So by the end of the year, you'll see these on Junipero Serra Boulevard. So, and that's going to be between Arroyo and Hickey. So it's just north of Westboro, so in that area.
And I'll look for the minis.
And then, of course, we'll remove them once we go into construction with our
temporary.
Yes, it is. It's temporary. That is right. Yeah. Okay, so next steps, we're going to complete the feasibility study this fall, and then we're going to move into the next two phases that I mentioned, the PID and the environmental phase, and that should get going in spring time. I'm going to release an RFP later this year once we're done with this current phase. And then future phases will be going into design and then eventually construction, so like a few years away, so. Probably about 4 years away, so in that ballpark, if we continue to get the funding for each of the phases, then, you know, we'll keep moving.
We all want it sooner though. How many people are on your team? Can you?
Well, you know, that's the process. We gotta meet Caltrans procedures, and the procedure is to follow that basically this right there, the PID, PED, and that's probably what hinders it. You know, it prevents us from diving straight into design. So they want us to go through these processes. So each process that we go through here, we need to get funding for. And so it takes time, right? Because we have to apply for a grant and like take 3 months to get the results. And then we release an RFP. And so it's time consuming.
Yes.
So
keep at it.
Yeah, that's a comment about that.
About what?
For the schedule, my understanding is bike lanes are exempt from environmental review. And so is there a way we could like separate the interchange redesign from the bike lanes so that we could expedite the bike lanes?
I would probably say no, because you know, they're all intermixed. It's one homogeneous design. As opposed to separating the design, we've been funded for this whole entire plan right now. So we're proceeding with that as a whole. If we break it up, it's gonna interfere with our you know, grant funding.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good idea though. Is it Daryl or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, that concludes my presentation. I can answer your questions if you have any, or any suggestions I can jot down.
Yeah. I have some comments. First, I'm super excited about this project. I know Councilmember Nogales and Coleman both have kind of been championing this, and I was really happy to see them pass it. I think it's a really good direction for the city. I really like the change. I went to the open house a few weeks ago.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was. I went to the open house and I thought the energy level was really good. I thought the format was great where we could put sticky notes, and I gave a lot of confidence. I probably gave the most comments out of anyone.
Good.
The bike lane designs themselves, I think, are great. I think the challenge is the intersection.
Yes. Yeah, the Juniper Boulevard,
Yeah,
Westboro Boulevard.
All the intersections. A lot of intersections have soft right turns where it's easy to just swerve. And it'd be awesome to have a harder right turn so that drivers are forced to slow down. Otherwise they go really fast. So I think that's one of the problems at Clay when they make that turn.
Yes.
And basically almost every intersection has kind of like a soft right turn. Westboro and Gellert, which I pass through every day because I live 2 blocks away, has really soft right, soft right turn past the actually all the intersections kind of do.
What would you recommend?
Just like extend the curb so that
like bulb
drivers,
outs or
not necessarily bulb outs, but just extend the curb so it's like a right angle instead of like a curved angle.
Instead of a 90-degree, you mean?
No, you want it to be 90 degrees. You don't want it to be curved. Because when it's curved, you don't have to make a sharp turn.
Sharper angle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through the chair, there's also, I mean, there's bike designs where you take the bike lanes out of the intersection and they go off the intersection and connect up and tee up. Because that's what I think you're saying is that the bikes should be teed up. So that could be a consideration as well. They're called, I'm blanking on the name of them, but that's an option too, to remove the bicycle out of the zone because that is quite dangerous. Yeah.
The interchange is what I'm most concerned about. I had the strongest comments at the meeting about the interchange. I don't want to treat the interchange as a bike project. I want to treat it like a car project because it's the main problem that it's trying to solve, in my opinion, is vehicle on vehicle collisions. But if you look at like the YouTube video and then the designs that you didn't show, but that were at the event. Oh, yeah, I guess you didn't go through everyone, but yeah, the designs that are in our packet, I don't, yeah. The pedestrian access, you kind of have to like zigzag, and it's much easier, like as a pedestrian or a bicyclist, it's much easier to just go straight, take a direct path.
For which one? Which is
Basically any of these diverging diamond.
what number is that? Or
Yeah, all the diverging diamond ones, 6 and 7. The path to cross the street as a bicyclist or pedestrian, you kind of have to zigzag. And the bicyclist, I know there was one design, yeah, number 7, where you kind of do a loop-de-loop. I don't think anyone would want to do that.
Oh, yeah, off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought that up, and they're trying to meet the ADA slope requirements in case someone is using a wheelchair, and that's the reason for that the circular loop, because I brought up the issue, can we make it linear? But it would depend on the topography. We're trying to meet the ADA, be inclusive with the ADA mobility, and so, for example. Nearby where I live, there's a Safeway, and they actually installed this like zigzag thing, and I was like, oh, it's for the ADA. Whereas before, I used to just be able to go right into the parking lot area to go into the store, but now they created this, and I realized, well, they're trying to slope it to make a gradual slope to meet the ADA slope requirements, and so that's the same issue here.
I'm out with my mom and her walker, and it's much easier if it's at the proper slope.
Yeah. And I figure, also maybe just thinking out loud is, if you're going around in a loop as a walker or pedestrian, you're getting more exercise.
Getting more
steps.
So there we go.
Yeah, I think, but my comment on that is I wonder if there's a way to keep, if you're not saying you keep more bicycle traffic. I think I understand you need to have the slopes and everything for walking ADA, but even if you can keep the bicycle traffic going through the intersection in some way. Without, because bicyclists are not going to do that, right? I mean, so kids might, or like inexperienced cyclists, but all other cyclists are going to stay on the road because it's so much longer to take that path. So it would be great to see, kind of a blended approach where there is still a way for cyclists to safely get through the intersection without going through the loops.
That applies to the overpass on Clay. I think overpasses aren't really pedestrian infrastructure, they're car infrastructure, because you're still prioritizing the drivers who are going fast on Juniper Serra. So I do support taking that down.
Oh, the pedestrian bridge?
Yeah, the pedestrian bridge. As if we can slow vehicles going through that intersection, I think that would be the best solution. So pedestrians have more direct access instead of having to go up and then back down.
I also think it's a danger at night.
Yeah, I agree.
You mean in its current state?
Or
even
in the new state,
even
without better lighting or it's on Juniper Serra. I had comments about the class 1 that you were proposing, the shared.
The multi-use.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those because often bicyclists tend to take over.
Yeah, I heard that comment at the community workshop as well.
Yeah, I would prefer like if you could manage it a sidewalk with a bike lane. And then the median bike lane.
Yeah.
My concern about that is just entering and exiting. I mean, when you're in it, it seems like you're well protected.
Yeah.
But when you're going in and leaving it, that seems to be a point where there could be some hazards. And
when you exit.
Yeah,
what we're considering there is putting in upgrading the signal light systems to allow for like bicycles and of course pedestrian signal lights to give them the go to cross safely back to the the sidewalk, right, from the median back to go across and into the sidewalk or the bike lane.
That sounds
that's what we're considering for that. Yeah. Or just a way where they can just move with a green light. So yeah, they would be stopped. They would have to wait. So
okay.
Yeah.
One thing I'm curious about is so the project area goes up to Skyline on Westport, right?
Yes.
Yeah. we haven't talked much about that part. Like how, because I've bicycled on Westboro up there before, and it's absolutely terrifying. You know, because of the speed, especially, like what's going to go on that part of it to improve cycling and walking?
It's in one of those pictorials there that you have before you, the handout, you know, installing pedestrian and bicycling facilities again, but we're going to be seeing, we'll be, you know, those are ideas right now, and the ultimate approval will come from Caltrans. So,
and that part seems especially difficult because it's very limited space. It's already too narrow for the cars that are there.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's a real challenge. Skyline Westboro intersection. That's a real.
Yeah. I can't see it here, but one of the plans had the bike lane in both directions on the one side of the road, and I thought that was
on Juniper Serra
on Westboro up to Skyline, I think.
Yes, that's one of the considerations.
Right, and that's awfully dangerous because bicyclists like we won't mention names coming down that hill way too fast, and if you imagine going around bends at a speed, and then I'm trying to cycle up that freaking hill.
I'm not going to try it out.
No, it's not a pretty picture.
That's a good point. Yeah, it would be very difficult to have cyclists going both ways
on bend, vertical, and horizontal bends.
That is very challenging.
I don't know if you have money in, but this would probably be a good area to have, if we could put some sort of repair station.
Oh, okay, yeah. For
bicyclists, because it is a desolate area.
What particular area, Natalie? Or?
At Orange Park. I mean, not Orange Park.
Oh, on both.
Westboro Park.
Yeah.
Westboro Park might be a good location for that. It's right on the course.
And on Juniper Serra, is there a place you might go?
There's no park there per se.
There's a lot of open space on the side of the road that you could probably build something on JS between King and Royal.
Maybe we'll bring that up. That's great. Yeah, so that's my email right there. I'm gonna pass out some business cards if you want to reach out to me.
They would all have it. They have the presentation.
Okay, all right.
In the agenda.
Yeah, so just feel free to reach out if something pops up.
Are there any comments from the public?
We have not received any public comments on this item.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
That's great.
Thanks, Adele. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you.
I'll just take this.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay, item 4.
Item number 4 is the police quarter report, statistics of accidents in South San Francisco, and we have Police Corporal Jesse Ledesma.
So this is the first.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for having me here. My name is Corporal Jesse Ledesma. I'm with the South City Police Department. I'm one of the traffic supervisors. We're going to talk a little bit about our first quarter. And this is considering vehicle versus pedestrian, bicyclists, e-bicyclists, or e-scooters that occurred in the first quarter. We had a total of 12 collisions, resulting in 9 minor injuries, 3 major injuries. The collisions involved 9 pedestrians, 2 bicyclists, 1 e-bike, 0 e-scooterist. 75% of these collisions were at the fault of the driver themselves. And then in the first quarter of 2023, there were a total of 10 vehicle versus bicycle pedestrian collisions. So from last year to this year, there was an increase of 17% in that time frame. I don't know if in the past he's talked about every single one of these incidents, they want to go over every single one, or?
A nice summary would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
it seems like a lot of them were people turning left hitting over pedestrians. Have you guys noticed any patterns that?
Well, I have noticed, in my history of working here, a lot of times it's the glare of the sun or them not actually seeing the pedestrian. They're looking one way and they make the turn. A lot of times they're very low impact collisions. But unfortunately, there are times when it's either fatality or a major injury.
So our question would be, how can we help improve that? Because this was a scary number of pedestrians.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not a lot of serious injuries, but
but you see people come and we give them advice. So what would you tell us to advise them?
We try to do as much as we can to educate the public. We have a lot of programs that we use. Complaint areas that we work. We have grants that we do with Office of Traffic Safety that we come in and we'll work specific areas. At the end of the day, it's just trying to change the driver's behavior or pedestrian's behavior depending on, that situation.
So should we tell people make no left turns, or, I mean, what would you have us recommend, I guess?
Well, a lot of it is advising the public, like, hey, just, I know we're all in a rush, a lot of times going to certain places and stuff like that, but it falls down to the driver and the pedestrian, as far as like looking both ways, watching where you're going. We're trying to do as much as we can with the bodies that we have. We are short staffed, unfortunately. Me and another guy are the only ones on motorcycles every day. So it's just a balance that we're doing that right now. But I know when I go out and work during the day, that's what I'm looking for. Any violations that I see, I try to stop as many as I can. Unfortunately, I can't stop everybody. No. And I see a lot when we are going out and about, and unfortunately we go to calls and we can't stop everybody. But we are trying to do as much as we can with the bodies that we have.
Well, have you noticed, we've got a few streets, especially in the London area now, that have the bulb outs or the wider
in the intersection.
Yeah, sidewalks.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that those areas are a problem, or are they reduced?
I noticed those actually help. Because it tells it. I know me personally, when they first came in, I'm like, oh man, they're putting more stuff in there, but it actually is very helpful because it allows people to slow down a little bit. Because now, as opposed to the street being super wide, they don't want to hit their car on the curb.
And the pedestrian might be more visible because they have more.
They have a little bit more protection.
Yeah.
Also, shortens the crossing distance for pedestrians, so they're less vulnerable, which is the benefit of the.
So these are what we want to recommend.
That's exactly, I think that's a great question is physical. What are some physical improvements that, so either physical improvements that help, like bulb outs are a great example, or intersections where are maybe like you have, say, repeat issues. Are there specific issues with those intersections where the city might be able to fix them and ensure we don't repeat that design in other places? So
I have seen where the city has increased the they've added the pedestrian sign. So when you push the pedestrian sign before the light turns green, the pedestrian sign comes on. So that gives them a little more leeway, because what ends up happening, we noticed in the past it had changed at the same time. So then car and pedestrian walk at the same time. A lot of times the drivers are not seeing the pedestrians, so that has helped as well.
So that can also be a physical tool.
I would say Meg, is that okay? I'm new to the BPAC, so is it okay if I?
Yeah, sure. Just jump in.
Is this okay? Prior to working for the city, I had spent 5 years as a bicycle and pedestrian consultant for a consulting firm. And their mantra was really, you're not going to change behavior because you catch one person and the next person learns how to drive and then they're doing the same mistake. And it's like, but instead what you do is you change the design of the roadway or the street. So you focus on design. So I think to your question, as a body, really advocating for the projects that our engineering colleagues are working with to better support our police colleagues is really where you're going to see the biggest change. like the bulb outs, that's what increased safety, that's called a leading pedestrian interval, you know, but that allows the pedestrian to get out and be visible before a car starts to turn. So making the change to the street design is what increased safety. Driver behavior is always going to be a really tricky piece. So you doing what you're doing and learning about the projects and being advocates for them is going to make the biggest change.
Yeah, because what we noticed too in the past is like we've had accidents in certain locations, and unfortunately it takes accident for them to put a stop sign or a jogger signal light or a crosswalk or all these things that come with that.
Did anyone have any particular questions about the Q1 reports? Any of the ones you want to call out?
It's kind of sobering, right? I mean, so many accidents. And the lady who was wearing all black that got hit.
It seems to be the same. It seems to be the same hotspots again.
We're talking about the vehicle versus pedestrians, the one with the wearing all black.
Yeah.
So I worked on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She survived, but she's battling quite a bit though. But on that one, she just trying to get home, not looking at all, just crossing, and then last moment she kind of looks over and notices the car's coming in. It was too late. So it's also behavior, like you're trying to get home, but had she looked left and right and seen the car come in, she would have. Because the other driver did nothing wrong driving up. She had dash cam, and you see it, and you can't see pedestrian at all until like the very last second. So
Wasn't the same location road? Previous report is they didn't run those two
that was approximately like 2 blocks before that. Yeah, I think that one was El Camino and Costco, El Camino, McClellan area, and then this one was a block forward. So,
I wonder if that means more lights. It's better stuff on El Camino for pedestrians in that area.
More lighting or whatnot. And then, as far as citywide for our PD, a lot of times we focus on certain areas or certain violations. So stop signs, 120 citations, cell phones, 71 citations, red lights, 36, 5 for failure to pedestrians, DUIs are up 68 arrests during that period. Ever since you noticed since COVID, everyone's probably drinking too much more. And we're getting a lot more drivers than we had before. So that was an increase. Unlicensed drivers, 93, suspended driver license, 29. And that's just, just for our citywide. So I mean, it tells you that's probably
sorry, I'm grilling.
Just still in the way.
So yeah. And then we got second quarter. It was a lot better. There was a total of 5 collisions in the last 3 months, 4 minor injuries, and then 1 major injury. The collisions involved 3 pedestrians, 1 bicyclist, and 1 e-bicyclist. In this one, 60% of the collisions, the driver of the vehicle is found to be at fault for these collisions. And then at the same time, let's see. During those 2 quarters from last year to this year, 15% reduction of vehicle versus bicycle and pedestrian collisions.
I made this comment the last time you got a report on this. How do you prioritize which areas of the city or what streets to focus on? Do you look at where trends are and then go to those?
We look at where collisions have been occurring, and we also look at complaint areas where people do complain about certain areas. And then we go out and we report back to Poland just to let them know, hey, we worked this spot for an hour. We didn't see any violations, or we did see violations, or we stopped a certain amount of cars. Obviously, when we're there, the behavior kind of changes a little bit. But it just depends on our manpower. Like, sometimes we're still on patrol, sometimes we're on a different assignment. It depends on what we're doing. Like, you know, today and yesterday I was film patrol, last week I was film patrol, so it just depends, just because we're short staffed.
Is there anyone in the city that's looking at latest collision data and like analyzing it? I guess I'm asking.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
No.
Okay.
Maybe we can find out, but
Yeah, that would be great to know.
Yeah.
Let us know next month.
sure, yeah, we can ask,
Does anyone else get input, or do you just make the reports and they go?
Sergeant Portola made the reports. I know he deals with a lot of that stuff. He's more of a supervisor type of in our unit. I help him out supervising as well, but he's the one higher up than me. My main goal is, you know, to go out and enforce and take accident reports and try to prevent accidents. And unfortunately, sometimes I'm stuck working patrol where they're short. So instead of me going and working a certain spot, I'm going call to call to different calls, just regular calls. So it just depends.
Okay, that's what that.
Like, yeah, so when we're working patrol, we're actually, you know, taking calls like there's a fight on Grand, or if there's now one hang up the street, or if there's just whatever kind of call, we're doing that. When we're not film patrol, we're out there trying to get as many cars as we can, pedestrians or whatever violations we can find and see over complaint areas. But believe me, when I first started, we had about 5 or 6 motorcycle officers at that time. Now full time we have 2. It's just we can't fill them because we have to fill the streets first.
Megan, yeah, do you actually want to mention Vision Zero? I think that'd be really relevant.
Yeah, so planning, Adina and myself in partnership with our colleagues in engineering have applied for a grant from the federal government to fund a Vision Zero action plan. You may be familiar with Vision Zero action plans. The premise is that no roadway, no street injury or death is acceptable, and that we should get all of these statistics down to 0. And this really dovetails with what we were talking about earlier, that street design can really make the difference. So what the funding would do is allow the city to hire a consulting team that specializes in this and create a Vision Zero action plan that would consider the recommendations from the active South City plan, along with our roadway safety plan, along with all of these statistics, and really look at the high injury network that was identified in the active South City plan, and make changes and make interim changes like Lawrence was talking about with the bollards. Like, that's really a pilot program like that can be really powerful. And then what longer term improvements as well. So the city already has a Vision Zero policy. So this would really be in line with the policies of the city already, but this would be a really meaningful next step to creating change on our streets and making them safer for folks who are the most vulnerable, bikes and peds. Yeah. Is there anything that you would add, Adina?
No, but I mean, I think the question of like, are we looking at our collision data and doing anything with it? I mean, I think this would be the next, that's what the purpose of that plan would be. So my guess would be, I mean, I'll talk to my colleagues in Public Works, but my guess is that we have the policy, but we need the plan in order to implement it. So right now we're waiting to hear if we get the funding.
Yeah, and we should hear it next month. Yeah, about the funding.
And then obviously if we get it, we're envisioning, you know, working closely would be an important item to work with BPAC on to take it forward.
Did the BPAC provide a letter of support for this?
Yes.
Did I? I think I signed it. Yeah, I signed it.
Because you asked us to make a very meaningful change to it. Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
And I will say one other thing that's really, what's really great about these Vision Zero action plans is they look at an intersection and they say, there has been a fatality, there's been a death here. And this intersection is just like these 5 other intersections. So even though no one has died here, the change we're going to make to this intersection, we need to make to all these other ones. It's called a systemic safety approach. And it's, it can really be really beneficial for communities.
We just need somebody to die first.
No,
Well,
definitely not. No.
Well, throw them, take away their own thing.
we would look at past deaths and apply improvements to all the intersections, and then no one has to die from this point onward.
Right.
Yes,
That'd be better.
Or get injured.
or get injured,
Yeah, like
nothing.
it's looking for
Yeah.
really,
Zero.
safe situation.
Yeah, and I really appreciate these reports, especially, I love this chart.
Yeah, I wish it could be more than that, just because we, you know, when we had more bodies, you know, that could easily be a lot more. You can tell like DUIs like that, those are way up. Yeah,
That's scary.
so, yeah.
Just not enough funding for police or not enough people applying?
A mixture of both. Well, no, I would say, there's a lot of, we have officers who retire. And then you have officers who end up going to different agencies.
Yeah.
And then to backfill that, it takes a little bit longer. In order to get someone who's brand spanking new onto the street by themselves, you're looking about a year.
Yeah.
With academy time and training time. So it does take longer. If we get somebody that is from a different agency, it's a lot quicker. But a lot of times people don't want to go from agency to agency. It just depends on the person. But yeah,
Well, thank you for your hard work.
thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you need anything, just reach out. I'm there. Been there for quite a bit of time, so
Thank you for keeping us
Thank
safe.
you very much.
Any comments from members of the public on this item?
No comment.
All right. Items from BPAC members. I don't have anything, ironically.
I just want to say I've enjoyed my time on the board. My term is up and
Are you gonna reapply?
no, I think I'm going to do other things. I've been on the board for almost 12 years. So it's
Yeah.
move on. I've seen it grow. I've seen much change in the city as far as bicycle and pedestrian paths. Well, I'm sure you guys do great at improving things even more as the years go by.
You only see the little things. It's so wonderful
Wow,
to have
12
you.
years.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that for the city. That's a really big time commitment. Appreciate it.
Is this your last meeting then?
It is.
Oh, wow, okay. Glad we had one.
Because your term's up.
They know.
I know.
Yeah, so
And
they
the
know
max is
recruiting
you can do 3.
They know
two
now.
now. Yes,
Okay.
because they're the ones who put out
Okay.
the application, go through the process.
So hopefully we'll have 2 new members.
I hope so.
Let's see.
Have we gotten any applications?
It's all done through the clerk's division. They're the spearhead of getting all of the boards filled. From at least the last time I asked them, which was quite a few months ago, no.
Okay.
And they would tell me if anything came through, because I'm very persistent at asking. But so if you have any friends,
Yeah, if anybody knows
colleagues,
people, feel free to
neighbors you like.
let them know and, you know.
Mhm.
I know someone who's considering it.
Has the deadline passed now?
It's rolling.
I think it's open.
It would be open,
Yeah.
because we have 2 positions.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
I mean, there's
PSL,
over a dozen positions vacant in all the different boards.
there's quite a few, yeah.
I'll make it at another meeting, but I've been thinking about how there's 3 different transportation committees or commissions in South City, and I want them to like merge somehow, either have joint meetings or, but I'll talk about it later. I did think of something. Kelsey, this might be your last meeting.
Is it true? It might be, yes. So the next 2 are canceled.
How long have you been with this? The next 2 are canceled.
No, if we don't.
Oh, if the next 2 are
Yeah.
canceled.
Big if.
How long have you been with the city?
It'd be 2 years. Yeah,
Well, thank you. If this is your last meeting,
you guys are most welcome. Yeah,
good luck.
Wish you the
ahead.
best of luck in whatever you do in the future.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other items from BPAC members?
Were we gonna discuss this?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I haven't read the whole thing. With this person was going to attend, or is it depending on
It looks like
in the Zoom?
this person can't make it, which is in the beginning.
So via our Brown Act, that Claire did a presentation a while ago. There's no public comment and no one can be via Zoom. As of 2023, I can resend everyone at the Brown Act. So public comments would either have to be made in person, or they can email like they did, and we'll provide you guys with that comment. But via Zoom, no. We were graced by the city attorneys to allow Zoom for transcribing to make sure everything is captured. Since this is advisory meeting, necessarily you guys don't vote on anything. So it's more getting your comments as accurate as possible.
I did not know that.
Which are available on YouTube, the videos.
Is there a forum where we can talk about like different comments that the city's received? I know in past meetings, I've mentioned how I want a presentation from Public Works on the comments that they've received from, I always forget the name, Engage SSF.
Yeah, we can certainly, we've mentioned that to our colleagues in Public Works, and I can request again that they come and give that presentation at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Frank asked about this email, like, are you guys gonna, I mean, she suggesting that they make Airport Boulevard like Hillside Boulevard? Is that the way I read it?
I mean, this is a comment from the public that we can definitely, we're going to forward this to our colleagues at Public Works. We're also going to forward this to our internal traffic advisory committee, which is really the kind of the more appropriate forum for discussion of this. So it will be, yeah, so there's no action you need to take. This is, yeah, to be clear, this is an FYI to keep you informed of public comments. Yeah, and we will definitely forward it on to the staff members who can address.
And you'll let the person know that.
Already done it.
We already did. Yeah, we already did. We told her that this is going to be in the record and that we will be forwarding this to our traffic advisory committee, and actually advised her in the future that she can specifically submit requests to TAC, and there's a
Great.
And I will request that we do an Engage SSF presentation at the next meeting. And I mean, that would be, if I can get a little more clarity on that, because the Engage SSF is everything. That's like, if there's I can't think of a tree down, a bird nest. So, I'm assuming, do you want to give staff some direction on specifically what you would like to see?
I guess one part is, what's the process, like the behind the scenes process?
Yeah, does anyone look through all that?
For responding to it.
Okay.
And then the more specific one is related to bicycle and pedestrian. So anything related to transportation, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I'd feel happy if I knew someone was going through and getting all the bicycle and pedestrian tickets or whatever they are and saying, oh, there's 50 for this intersection. They should look at it. But what we don't know, so if you found out, that would be great.
Well, I'll ask my colleagues in Public Works to come because they manage that. So they would be the right people to come talk to you about that. So I'll see if they can come to the next meeting. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know either, so it would give me an opportunity to learn about it.
Yeah.
That'd be good too. Okay, that's a great, that'd be a great topic.
If there's any other items that Public Works is working on, I know they've been advancing a lot of projects east of 101.
They have.
Any updates on
maybe some updates on some of the quick builds type of things?
Yeah.
Sure. I wrote this in the wrong place.
Any other BPAC comments? Okay, items from staff.
I do have one item. I'll just make a note about this. Ask Dave. Okay, we have had a request from the city council to all of the boards and commissions to have one or two members of each board or commission come to a council meeting, and during the presentation sections of the council meeting, give a 5-minute talk, not even, up to 5 minutes, about what that commission does and kind of what are some of the projects that you've been seeing this past year. So I wanted to pass that request on to BPAC, and I can give you some dates for the next 3 months that there are council meetings. And then it would be August 14th or 28th, September 11th or 25th, and October 9th and 23rd. So I wanted to put those dates out and kind of put it to the group to see who would be interested.
Seems like a great thing for our chairman to do.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Okay, that's great. I can email you and follow up specifically with these dates if that will be helpful.
Yeah.
And I know our vice chair is not here, but we can also ask if he would
Yeah.
like to do that with you.
And maybe I'll probably need to work with you on like, what do we put in the presentation?
Exactly,
Would there
yeah.
be slides or?
There can be slides. Yeah, I'm thinking there probably should be. And I probably want to get a little bit of direction from our city manager's office of exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, what's the ask aside from just informing? Is it just inform?
Yeah, it's just informing. I think it's just to get a little bit of like, you know, it's public interest. Like you're all doing a lot of good work and you're out here every month, you know, or every quarter doing this work. And I think the council
That makes sense.
Also just to, you know, get you guys a little bit of recognition too, like this is all happening and it's, you know, it might seem behind the scenes, but these meetings are going on every month, but I'll try to get, I actually haven't been at a meeting yet where there has been a presentation, so I don't exactly know, but I'll work with the city manager's office to see if we can get a little more feedback on that. I will tell you the planning commission is doing a presentation on October 9th. So if you wanted to do it the same night as planning commission, you're more than welcome to, or you can pick a different night, but I can follow up with an email.
I don't have a specific date in mind.
It would be all Wednesdays.
Yeah, they're all
6:30.
Wednesdays.
Yeah. But like, I don't know if there's like any strong need to present when others are presenting or.
Okay, that's fine. Well, why don't I just send you the dates and pick one that works for your schedule?
Okay.
I'll email you and the vice chair and see. Okay, that'd be great. That is the only item from staff.
I have an item.
Oh, okay.
A reminder that in a month on August 29th is the Silicon Valley Bike Summit, the Silicon Valley Coalition
Yes.
Bike Summit. I think I captured all the words correctly. And it's exciting because we're hosting it here in South City. It'll be at the Library and Parks and Recreation. I think Kelsey, you already coordinated with folks who wanted to attend, but I will also be there. Dina, were you planning to attend?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, I come forward to see that. I'll be there. Certainly go. Should be fun.
I think it'd be fun, and I think that would actually be a good, I mean, depending how many BPAC members go, it could be a nice item to report back on for the members who don't go, just like if there's interesting things learned or that type of thing. You can do follow up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be there.
Okay,
Great.
There's also, I think they're coordinating a bike ride as well, here in our city, so get to showcase the cool work we've been doing. And by we, I mean everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I keep forgetting. That concludes our meeting. It is 7:33 p.m.
Great.
And you got a motion.
Oh, do we want a motion? Oh, we have a motion?
Yep.
Oh, it's on the script. Motion to conclude the meeting.
I make the motion.
I second.
You're the party one.
I'll make the motion that we can conclude the meeting.
And I'll second.
Meeting's adjourned.
Great. Thank you for everything. It's been a great time. Definitely I've seen improvements on the board and improvements in the city. There's bike lanes and things like that.
Yeah.